Alright, in this video we're going to do 10 more tips on how you can smash your JP Morgan HireVue interview questions and interviews in 2023. Simple win that you can do, right? Prepare to talk about yourself. The interviewer or some of the questions might come up to find out a bit more about your background outside of what's written on your CV. So be prepared to talk about what you like doing outside of school or college or university, outside of work, how you spend your free time, what hobbies do you have, because these things can tell a lot about an individual. So be prepared to talk about yourself. Oftentimes you might get asked a question on commercial awareness, what's going on in the industry, and it's an opportunity for you to show them that you're keeping up to date with the news and everything going on in the world, right? If you're not asked this question or a question on commercial awareness, you can still flex your muscles in terms of your commercial knowledge. Simple way to do that is in the other answers that you offer or you use to answer questions that you've been asked in the interview. If they aren't specifically about commercial awareness, you can make them about commercial awareness. So in any answers where you see it's relevant or you see it kind of fits, just talk about what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the industry. This will show the person that watches your interview, okay, this candidate knows what's going on in the markets, they follow the markets, they know what's going on in the world of geopolitics, etc, etc, etc. So you're kind of flexing, you're showing off, but in a subtle way, and it's always good to do that. End of the day, don't forget, you are pitching yourself to the employer. You need to impress them. If you are just appearing on the interview, you answer all the questions standard, and there's another candidate that does the same, but they impress them a bit more, they're gonna go through to the next stage. So you need to impress them in a subtle way without being arrogant and overconfident. That's very, very important. Make sure you listen to the questions or read the questions carefully before you answer them. So oftentimes, I sometimes even do this to this day. Sometimes when I'm having a conversation and someone asks me something, I might think that they've asked me a completely different question because I wanted to answer that question. So listening carefully or reading carefully is very important. So you make sure you answer the question that's at hand or the question being asked of you, rather than answering a question that you would prefer to answer because you've got the prepared answer for that question, if that makes sense. All right, so just because you're doing a virtual interview, it doesn't mean you don't need to dress professionally. So yes, that means dress as if you're going into an in-person interview, suit and tie. If you're a female, blouse, whatever it is that looks professional that you might wear to an interview. Make sure if you're a guy and you've got a tie on, make sure it's not loose, make sure you look nice and neat, make sure your shirt is ironed, make sure you look crisp, make sure you've got a good haircut, clean shave, whatever it might be. You want to look presentable and professional, because the other person on the other side, if they don't think you look well presented, they're not going to be comfortable taking you to meetings, whether it's internally or externally, because it will look bad or it won't look good on them because they're responsible for you. So how you carry yourself, how you portray yourself in an interview is very, very important. If you're doing a HireVue interview, it's obviously online. Double check it, triple check it, make sure your internet connection is working and that it's strong. In some rooms in your house, there might be a weak connection, there might be poor reception, whatever it might be. Some rooms might have stronger reception. Make sure you do your interview in a room in your house where there is a strong internet connection. The last thing you want to do is jump on an interview for JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, whichever company it is, and then the internet connection cuts and that's it, your opportunity is gone. You're going to kick yourself for losing out on a potential offer because of a poor internet connection. You don't want to be in that position. So triple check internet before you do your interview. Let everyone in your household know that you've got an interview. It's very important. It's at this time and it's going to end at whatever time it's going to end. Make sure no one comes into the room during that 30 minutes or however long it might be. The last thing you want is a family member walking into the room and the interview sees them in the background and they're shirtless or they've got boxers on, whatever it might be, right? Simple one, show your enthusiasm throughout the interview. Make sure you show your enthusiasm that you are being interviewed by them, because it shows your enthusiasm towards the company and the role. And if you're interviewing someone, that's what you want to see in the person that's putting themselves forward for that position. Employers understand if you're a student and you're doing your interview even in the bathroom, it's no big deal, but if you want, just blur the background. Use Zoom or whatever web conferencing service software you're using. You should usually be able to blur the background. Just keep it professional if you can. Prepare for behavioral questions, so competency-based questions such as tell me a time when you had to solve a problem, tell me a time when you worked as part of a team. This is basic stuff, everyone should know this. Basic stuff, competency questions, start, technique, situation, task, action, result. Use that structure to answer your competency-based questions. These are always going to come up in interviews, so it's only your fault if you can't prepare for them, or if you find yourself in an interview and you haven't prepared for them well enough, it's on you, because you should know how to prepare for these by now. You don't want to waffle, you don't want to over talk, you don't want to talk too much gibberish when giving an answer. Keep it short, succinct, to the point and well articulated. That's very important. You don't want to go on and on and on, because you're going to end up boring the person who's watching the video. Keep Keep your answers concise and to the point, and avoid rambling. Make sure you check your audio settings on your laptop or your computer and your visual settings. Before you do your interview, make sure sound is working. Make sure the camera, whether it's an external camera or the camera from your laptop, make sure it can see you, because I don't think they're gonna allow you to do the interview if they can't see or hear you. And if they can't see or hear you, you might as well just not participate. So check those things as thoroughly as you can before the interview. Make sure you turn off distractions. So if you've got your phone next to you, just flip it, put it down, or put it in a separate room. You don't need any distractions whatsoever. They'll throw you off, they'll throw your train of thought off mid-answer. So it's better to either put it on complete silent or put your phone in a completely different room to avoid being distracted. If you have a contact person's email address or the HR team, make sure after your interview, send a follow-up thank you email. Just say thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Would love to know when I can expect to hear back. Don't chase them too much. Just send a thank you message after the interview. It's always good to kind of have that touch point and let them know, you know, it's better to send a thank you than not to. If you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you've got an interview coming up, make sure you use these tips and the tips in the previous video and a few more on the channel. You can find them. And good luck with your interviews. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.